Is Super7 on their way out? Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. I am your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I am joined by the founder of the Necilluminati, the delayer of shipments, the procrastinator of pre-orders, the perfect person, my YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar_games. But that's not all. I am also joined by the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over. The man after his prime popped and he refuses to stop. The Twilight Knight, the master of Mac, the three-pump chump of taking this show off the rails, Nate. How you guys doing?
Pretty
Yeah,
good.
Doing good. Feeling a little Groundhog Day, but
Yeah, it's a lot of deja vu, and not just because we did an episode on this a month or two ago.
Double Groundhog Day.
Right? We are very obviously here to talk about Super7. They've been in the news for a number of things over the past few months, but most recently, there have been some emails going out from multiple lines where they aren't hitting their pre-order status quos and are canceling random figures throughout the line that just didn't get enough numbers. And within this, we had the Power Rangers line, which lost the Tiger Zord and the villain, who apparently had never been made in any other figure line. We also lost the Disney Rescuers Down Under figures, which is less surprising of the two sets to choose from here. I feel like there was a third one, but I can't remember it. If you can, let me know in the comments below. But it's a little concerning because obviously there's now so many ways to pre-order. This company was built on the back of pre-ordering direct and getting the money up front versus like the Big Bad Toy Store Entertainment Earth method where you don't pay till it ships. And it seems like they're losing less and less upfront customers, if not potentially even customers in general. So, I mean, it's not looking good, and I'm kind of curious how you feel about it, especially out of the three of us. Jamar, the one person who still champions them, at least a little bit.
I just said that they were back, and was a little surprised when the topic.
Your response when you asked what the episode was about, I was like, well, surprise. Because last week you got your Mikey and you were so excited. You're like, oh, this is the greatest company ever.
I mean, I still have my reasons for why I like some of the figures, and we'll, I guess, briefly touch on that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bummer. I don't know. I don't want people to get the misconception that we are like dancing on their early grave sort of thing of like, hey, I mean, we've done a lot of what's going on with Super7 episodes. I don't know if it equates
I feel like we've only done
amount
one
of Hasbro. It's been, I guess
We've covered it. We've discussed it.
Yeah, maybe we brought it up in other ways.
We probably talk about it on the live stream a lot, but I think we've only done one What's Going On with Super7 episode. We did the What the Fuck's Going On with McFarlane episode because they had all that side eye and shitty quality a while back. Well, I guess it's been consistent.
We seem to mostly fix that.
And then there was we've done several about Hasbro.
Thousands of Hasbro.
We did the Mezco episode, which got me a lot of hate in the Mezco groups, so that was fun.
I'm just saying, do you think, like most people won't find that we have been the most positive when it comes to Super7, I guess is what I'll say.
I like to think that on most topics we try to stay middleist, like with the exception of Mezco, which I feel like Mezco I was very much like fuck them and fuck their cow and
I mean, we definitely try. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure you make an attempt. I'd say I probably try the hardest, but
I don't think you try. I think you're just a more positive person than me and Nate combined.
No, yeah. I don't see it from you guys' perspective of like I went with Super7 specifically. I have a very acute tunnel vision as far as what I collect from them, so I don't see the ongoings of other things of like you said, the Rescuers or the Power Ranger lines, even though when that first was announced, I thought I was all in, and then I was like, yeah, I kind of don't need those. So,
that's good.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like what's up, like more from your guys' perspective, because I feel like I may disagree with like what you guys feel, but also at the same time, that acute tunnel vision only.
It'll be like you disagree because with your heart, but with your brain, you'll be like, that makes sense though.
Maybe. But yeah, I've never purchased a figure from Super7 directly, so maybe I'm a part of the problem.
I mean, the
Well,
I've
person with
never
the most
done the pre-order.
experience here is Nate, 'cause he's got the most of
yeah,
their different
Yeah.
lines. He's got Reaction. He's got several different Ultimates lines. Like,
yeah. So I mean, yeah, because I probably catch the most shit out of the three of us for talking shit about Super 7, but I also have bought the most Super 7 product and continue to do so. In fact, I have 2 pieces on the way. Okay, I'm still trying to support them. All right, I'm a big fan of their intentions. I'm just having a little
Sure.
bit of an issue with the execution right now. I've made my feelings known on the turtle line. It is what it is. It's not for me. That's okay. It is for someone. But the problem here is the fact that we've lost that exclusive feeling early on when you would order direct because it was made to order. Okay. And maybe partially one of the issues was that Big Bad Toy Store became a partner for them.
mm-hmm.
So, like, for instance, Masters of the Universe, if you ordered them from Super 7 Direct, I'm going to say, just, I don't know if this is right. They were $30, okay, if you ordered them direct at the time. I want to say they were like $45 on Big Bad Toy Store, but you didn't have to pay up front. So that was the trade-off, okay? Big Bad was going to make some more dough off that because they were ordering themselves. That has now changed. They are a direct retailer of Super 7, so they charge the original price. And that's also the thing. More people have become direct retailers. It used to be that you could only get stuff directly from Super 7 themselves, but now you can get Ultimates at Best Buy, you can get them at any online e-retailer, you can get Reaction at Target,
Everywhere.
no problems everywhere.
Yeah.
So there was a part of that was kind of cool. I bought into the Ultimates early on, and I was buying them, and it was cool because you felt special because you fronted the bucks, you got the product, and you got an item that if someone didn't order, they missed out on. Okay? I don't care what anybody says. We all enjoy that feeling a little bit. I don't care who you are. If you have a HasLab or a Mattel Creations or whatever, there's a slight smugness. I don't care who you are. There's a slight smugness if you own it because you're like, yeah, I have one of those. And that was the same thing with Super 7. And that's not the case anymore. Everyone has them so much so that they're going on clearance. The prices that I've seen some of these figures at are insane. And I mean, sub $25 for brand new figures. That's a problem. That takes away the incentive to order. I was already ordering through Big Bad Toy Store because I didn't want to pay up front, but now even more so. So I mean, now they're offering these pre-order bonuses, but I think that's a little too little, too late. Especially because they're coming for characters that are later on in the runs. They didn't make them for the early ones, like for instance the Thundercats. Jaga and I don't know. I think it's Wily Cat.
Wile E.
Forgive
Coyote?
me. What's that?
Wile E. Coyote?
Oh, Wily Cat. No, it's Wily Kid or Wily Cat. I can't remember which one is which. But either way, those come with ones with light up eyes because they got the when Lion-O calls them. But we don't have those for the other ones. I mean, there was a Panthro one that they gave you in that booster kit because they fucked up. That was the only way to get that one. But it's not like the other ones have it. And so...
the smart marketing aspect of that would be to go with like the figure arts route and include those other characters' heads in a set. So that way it's like, oh, I'll buy this set that I normally probably wouldn't have bought, but because it has those heads for those old ones as well, I'll do it.
I do not understand why more companies don't do that. Like, think about how many Gammas were sold for Dragon Ball. Now, I like the Gamma characters, but think about how many of those were sold just purely on the idea that one came with Gohan's cape and the other one came with him with his glasses.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You're saying you like that?
I don't.
To me, that's
I
awful.
love it. No, it's.
I mean, that killed the Gargoyles line for me.
See, I think it's awesome because it's not an imperative accessory. You don't have to have it. And so, but it is a nice incentive to buy the other figure. You don't need any of that. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, it depends
I
on your
think
definition.
need
You don't need any of these figures.
No, you don't. But like, you know,
I hear you, but
I just disagree with you.
It's more of a in that case, it's more like I won't spend too much time on it, but it is more of an incentive to be a collector of the entire line.
Yeah, completion.
So you're getting kind of like a bonus from that. But if you're really like, man, I can't wait to get this figure, and then you're like, oh shit, I gotta buy this one to get the actual, because we all know famously I went down the road just to get fucking Falcon's wings, and that's technically a little bit different. Because
I mean, it's kind of the same thing, because if you just
want,
you just want Falcon,
a build of
but still,
figure.
build of wings
also,
is fucking dumb.
It's also Captain America, but yeah,
no disagreement there.
Yeah, it was that was an even shittier situation. But I'm with Jarmar on this one. I do not like that whole like buy this figure to get the pieces for the other one that you didn't get, especially because they didn't just do that with Gamma, like the Gamma twins. They did it with a few other things to get the Super Saiyan head and like stuff like that, and stuff that should have been included in the base figure.
But
and like my biggest
you can't display all of them and whatever. I didn't get the Broly out of the new movie because I didn't care about that head. I bought the Gammas honestly because I wanted them, and then was pleasantly surprised that they came with pieces that I wanted. So for me,
the reward.
It's
It was
it's
a
fun.
reward.
But if you're someone who's like, I'm a huge Gohan fan and I want to be able to like change it up and display them in different ways, or because those base figures that they sold at retail were what, $40, you could buy multiples pretty easily, and then you'd be able to display in multiple ways.
Yeah, but to which I say, suck it up, Buttercup. That's how it is. I love it.
Also, those figures were $40 as opposed to being like
the hypocrisy.
90. But I also hate NECA for doing that, because they're doing that with the Gargoyles line. The only way to get the folded capes for their wings is to buy all the humans, and I have no interest in the humans.
But again,
can we clip that out just for a side note? Because I feel like that's just your.
I mean, that is my stance in general.
Because
I hate
they
humans.
Because they know that people are saying they want them, and they just don't believe that they'll sell. So there's an added zing to
the
it.
Gargoyles already don't sell. They fucking sit at Target all the time. So like, what's the difference?
You could say, Michael, everything sits at Target as far as regular NECA goes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't actually know what sells and what doesn't because they get replenished constantly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I just saw a new display. Of Meyer getting a whole new NECA section, and I'm just like looking at the stuff, and I'm like, who doesn't have this stuff
at this point? Like the Friday.
Right. Here's my biggest problem with that. Before we get back to the point of this episode,
been out forever.
So I'm gonna have one last thing to say about this topic before we go back to the actual topic, and that is NECA proved that they could do it without any problem, because they released the video game Goliath, and he fucking comes with the cape. The only difference is he only comes with 2 extra hands instead of like the pepper and the book, all the shit that I didn't need with the first release. They could have given me the cape.
Again, though, it's marketing, and it's genius, because they know there's not going to be any more video game character figures, so they better give you all this shit.
But I'm just saying, like that. Here's the thing, though. I guarantee I'm not the only person who's like, well, if I can't get the full thing and the figures I want, then I'm not going to do it. So you're actually losing sales to make figures that obviously people don't want.
But there's more people like Nate that would probably like, yes, I get the humans and the folded. So there's both sides to this.
It was like, I'm going to buy the detective either way. Oh my god, it came with wings? That's so cool.
But we can agree just to disagree, much like we have on a lot of the Super 7
I don't think we've ever agreed to disagree. It's always us telling each other that we're wrong. But that's not the point. Anyway, so with Super 7, Nate pointed out, you can get these figures for dirt cheap on clearance through pretty much any outlet except for maybe local comic book shops, because they can't afford to unless they're really just trying to move the product. And we've seen things go for $20 to $25 on Entertainment Earth, and that's a regular occurrence now. So it's not like a one-off. It's almost as often as like getting Marvel Legends for $12 at Target. And people have seen that and they're like, well, why would I pre-order? I'll just wait 6 months and get it then. Like, especially because none of these figures are like, oh my god, I have to have it right now kind of thing. 9 times, like usually. I will say though, another problem is the quality's gone down. Yes, sir.
This is just a flaw of logic, because now we're kind of learning, if you are going to wait for it to go in clearance, it probably isn't going to go in clearance because it's not going to exist.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that's happening now. But
I'm
this
just
wasn't
saying.
happening
And
for the past 3
that's
years.
also that's also an unintended consequence that they need to be very aware of, and that's how they reverse that. I don't know.
But them being on clearance, I feel like is sort of new, right? Because
I mean, it's been within the last year. Yeah,
like the clearance that we've seen is, at least I've seen, again, acute tunnel vision was Mikey. Like that
it's
was
a lot
the
more
only
than
one
that. It's a lot more
that
than
I've
that.
seen.
It's
So
a
that
like
makes
we're
sense.
talking like entire waves of across all the Ultimates lines getting discounted down to those same like $30 to $20.
Not every wave, but at least one wave of every current
usually
series
it's
that they have going.
if they have an older one that's been sitting around for 6 to 12 months, it's those ones first.
Get it out. Yeah.
But it's happening more often than it was before.
Okay.
But like the G.I. Joe, I think only one of those has actually shipped, one of those waves, and they're already discounted. And those have been recent enough. It hasn't even been a year because they came out way after San Diego, because San Diego was the first official G.I. Joe figure they had out. And the regular line waves didn't come out until way later. I could be wrong about the second wave. It might be out. I didn't get any of them, so I couldn't tell you. I didn't need another scale G.I. Joe line.
Yeah. Especially if you look at the quality of it, which is what I was going to bring up.
Right.
Is the figures they're wanting $55 for these things, and they show up and they're not even like retail level quality sometimes. It seems like a lot of the times they're trying to avoid paint apps, so they just mold things in the color they want so they can do as little as possible, and then don't even put any shading or anything into it, so it just looks like a piece of plastic. And it's very adamant in the pictures I've seen of the two that you have on the way, which are the first of the Godzilla, which is Godzilla 89 and the Biollante. And those, oh man, the picture I saw, like Godzilla looks like a kid's toy. Like it's a straight plastic, no paint apps except for the eyes and the teeth and claws and stuff. Like there's no shading, nothing. And it makes me just very disappointed and concerned because I was like, oh, this is great because they're going to be massive. They'll be bigger than NECA ones. Maybe I'll get rid of the NECA ones and switch to these. And I'm glad I didn't jump the gun and sell my NECA ones, because now I'm like hesitant. I'm waiting to see how yours turn out to even think about it. And I might consider getting the Comic-Con one that's coming out if it goes up, just because it seems like they don't have a choice but to put paint ups on that one, because that one's like got a bunch of like comic book like shades and stuff to it. But that's across the board. Power Rangers, the G.I. Joes, Silverhawks.
What's weird is, and I thought this when they initially announced it, I didn't understand why they were making all of these Hasbro brands. So why they were doing Power Rangers, why they were doing G.I. Joe, Transformers. Still to this day, only one wave of Transformers has shipped. The second wave is now 2 years late, more than 2 years late.
Jesus.
I think it's like 2.5 years late now. Any heat that wave, that line had is gone.
Dead,
and I don't, again, I just, with G.I. Joe, especially, like, okay, they look like the cartoons more. Cool. But, we've got 4, maybe 8 if the second wave shipped. And it's been, 2 years? Like,
just to throw this
that's
out,
a long time.
They don't transform, do they?
No. They're just
so
action
they're not
figures.
Transformers.
They're based on their animated looks and things like that, which is neat.
Which is cool. I would 100%, if they made a normal Starscream, I would have been on board with it, because that would be like my one and done situation. But at this point, who knows if they're ever going to ever get to other characters, because these waves are taking forever to get out, to the point where the hype for the line goes down. Then you have the issue with the clearance, and then you have quality when they do come out, which makes people not want to do more, which makes it, can you even have the hope that you're ever going to be able to finish one of these lines? Like right now, the only ones that are really going strong are Ninja Turtles and Thundercats. And by strong, I mean they're continually turning them out, versus like the other ones are struggling on wave 2 and 3. Turtles is on like wave 10.
Yeah, they're unannounced waves, but like, have we really seen much like actually being shipped?
Well, that's just a Super 7 problem in general, but I'm just saying.
I know, that's what I mean.
I'm just saying, like,
keep announcing things, but there hasn't been anything.
I just know that the one that had the gorilla in it that wasn't Sergeant Bananas.
Yeah, we had this discussion. We just call him Gorilla.
The Gamma
Uh,
Gorilla.
That one hasn't shipped, and that was up for how long ago? Like that was up
That was
for
a
that
long
was
time
one
ago.
of like
We were
the
still doing the news when that was announced.
I think, yeah, I
they
thought so.
That was
That
during
was the excitement behind that one.
Jamar's baby hiatus. Because I'm pretty
That
sure
might
that
have
was
been before that.
no. I think that was
wasn't
they may
on
have
there?
teased it, but I'm pretty sure that episode was
Oh,
the
okay.
episode me and Wes did.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
My son's going to be
That could
3.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. But that's what I mean. Like you say, have Steam, but like really things have not. They keep announcing things, but there hasn't been much. Which is part of the reason why I think the clearance is happening is because it's been so long since these lines and stuff have been out. Like it makes natural sense to be clearance. If we were still regularly getting things like released and actually shipped, I don't think the clearance items would be that big of a deal. It would be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Get rid of that stuff because this new wave's coming in. But the fact that we're also not getting anything, I think highlights that more. Because we get stuff at clearance all the time on like at Target and stuff, and we're not like, oh my god, is Hasbro going to like survive? But it's.
I mean, we
on
do
top of the
question
fact
if
that
it
we-
has like what's going to happen
Oh,
with the
sure,
line
but-
because it's been oversaturated. So like their pendulum's got to go
Sure.
back sometime.
But Marvel Legends keep cranking out. So
I
it's not
do
like
agree.
that's stopping.
But I think it also has some other aspects to it as well, because I feel like a lot of these e-retailers over-ordered because the hype was so strong that
More
by
business decisions on their end too.
but here's the thing, they
Well,
put
I'm
these
just
orders
saying.
in
Wrong,
4
though.
years ago when the hype was
Right.
at its highest. So that's not on
Sure.
them, like that it took them 4 years to ship something.
Sure.
So like that
I mean, he's not. I gotta agree with Michael on this point because especially if you're looking at Turtles, that hype was so real when that first wave hit. We talked about it in the version that no longer exists.
Mhm.
That we got all hyped up in it, and then they had to remake and redo those turtle molds multiple times, and then they were kind of stuck. And I think because then that hype was there, retailers were ordering a consistent number of what they had gone previously, and then people got bored and decided to stop, and then they canceled. So they canceled with Big Bad Toy Store, they canceled with Entertainment Earth because you didn't need money up front. Or some people have like different accounts for Big Bad Toy Store and let their shit just get not charged, and even though there were orders for them. I'm not blaming anyone necessarily, but I'm just saying.
I feel like,
that
I feel like a little bit called out right now.
I mean, if you feel it, then that's on you.
I mean, listen, just because I have 2 accounts, because I had to make a new one because I'd canceled so many orders that they were putting me at the back end of the list so I wouldn't get stuff like because they'd run out. And then I forgot that there was still stuff on that other account. Like, I can't help that. But you already know, the only reason you know that is because we were discussing earlier that you're like, oh yeah, Zilla and Biolante are on their way,
Yes.
and I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I
And I
didn't
take
know because
every
that's on my old one.
of everything that you guys say to exploit it.
This
I'm
is
always
true.
listening.
Most time.
No. But I read it, so I remembered.
Yeah, that's the difference. You didn't have to listen. It
Yep.
was just there. But yeah, so like I feel like these e-retailers kind of got the biggest shit end of it because they didn't know that Super 7 was going to be 2-3 years behind on production, and especially because
Super 7 knew.
Well,
I don't think they knew.
I don't think they knew either, but I feel like they did some things that screwed themselves because at this point, no one else is feeling the effects of the pandemic anymore. So they can't use the excuse of like, oh, well, it's, just issues of production, blah, blah, like they used to, because everything else is coming out. Like, yeah, there's still delays, but not like there was during that 2-year span when everything was gone to shit and shut down.
Right.
I mean, hell, Mafex is to the point where they're only like a month or 2 behind. Where before pandemic times, they were 6 months behind. So like that's a big thing. Even Mezco at the point, like their older stuff that was delayed is still taking forever, but the newer stuff's being cranked out pretty fast. Like they got the Superman and the Wolverine figure out within like 6 months to a year after they took the pre-orders. So. Yeah, it seems to be a Super 7 problem at this point, and it has to be. You have to ask the question of like, what's causing it? Did they blow all their money remaking the turtle figures that they were supposed to use to make those other figures, and now it's a constant like catching up? Or is it a situation where they are going back and retooling things too many times and spending too much money on that end and not able to keep up? Or do they just have the world's shittiest factory manufacturing these things?
What if it's a little bit to do with like licensing, like in all like these different waves or different lines, that they have to either order a certain amount to continue using these licenses, and they probably can't afford it, but they're like
doing it anyway.
Have to try and figure out, from there. To me, that makes a lot of sense. Acute television,
find it,
so I don't have that quality issue.
I find it a little suspicious.
Oh?
They have announced a ton of San Diego Comic-Con exclusives over the last couple of days. And for the most part that I've ever seen, they have those at the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how long were these in production?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't know. I mean, it's a little weird that the initial Godzilla figures are shipping, and all of a sudden here comes this convention exclusive Godzilla as well. There's 2 new G.I. Joe convention exclusives. There's I don't know, a couple other things, and they're definitely working the Thundercats Completist, which thankfully I am not. The last few waves now are filled with these LGN repaints that are just repaints of the old toy colors, with very minimal cost, and I mean less cost involved than what they initially would have to do with new tooling and new sculpting and things like that. And then there's the whole Cat's Lair thing. And I'm going to put on my patented Corey tinfoil hat here, because...
Corey, your former co-host from Figuratively Speaking.
Yes, who always used to do these elaborate conspiracy theories. And I do sort of wonder, because as we will find out here in a minute, one of our patrons pointed out the whole, working capital thing. And, using the funds that they get for these upfront pre-orders... that is a large amount of money to put down on a pre-order, $650 plus $700 or $100 for shipping and things like that. And if they can get people excited enough, they don't really have to deliver that for like 2 years. And that gives them an immense amount of working capital if it does, hit their threshold, which they don't ever actually publish the thresholds that they need to hit.
It's not like a crowdfund situation like a HasLab.
Right. But they do need to hit a certain amount in order to put it into production. And I remember with Snake Mountain, they were upfront to an extent about, hey, we hit it, so it's going into production. The Thunder Tank though, and I'm really curious, because I have Snake Mountain and it is very cool. That is one of those pieces where you're like, I have this. Suck it. I don't think it's going to be the same with the Cat's Lair, and I already see that with the Thunder Tank, because I did order that, and I had a hard time getting rid of it at my cost. So there was not that I was intending to buy it at
no, you just lost interest.
Right, exactly. My intention was to keep it, but then I lost interest and I didn't want it. It was $450, and I was like, does somebody want this? And I had a tough time moving it, and I really do wonder about the Cat's Lair, because looking at the pictures, it looks very big, but big doesn't necessarily mean good. And to me, I wonder if this is just if anybody out there is familiar with the Hive playset from Sectars in 1985, it was just a pressed piece of plastic, kind of blow molded, thing with a bunch of things sticking on it. And I can't help but feel that that's what this is going to be. And I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but the timing of everything is just a little suspicious.
Yeah. Not quite. I hadn't thought about that, because I know they've been teasing it. I hadn't even heard the price tag or anything on it. I figured it was going to be
which is a
expensive.
Pretty good price, all things considered. Like, it was way less than what people expected, especially at its size. But that's what also makes me think it's not going to be
anything special,
much more than a front
even
facade
the Mattel Creations Eternia, that was what? How much was that again? That was 500, 600?
I think that was 5. Yeah.
So like the fact
And that was
like,
a totally new sculpt because they're not using the original sculpt. It's
Yeah.
slightly bigger.
Yeah. So I don't know. It does seem a little sketch. And they did this last year at Comic-Con too, though, if you think about it, because they had exclusives of figures for lines that hadn't shipped yet. And it's like, well, why do you have this, but you don't have my shit you took the money for if you're someone who still is ordering, unfortunately, direct from them.
Right.
So,
and let's not even, like, we didn't even touch upon the fact that this could be very bothersome to some people, but most people who order through Big Bad Toy Store get it before
that
order it.
that would piss me off the most.
That
would be the one thing that would drive me. Like
That's
if it was in a situation where like, oh, I'll pay up front, like I have the money, why not? The fact that Big Bad Toy Store got it first would be enough for me to be like, fuck you, then I'm done.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you
I'll pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store instead. Like, I'm not going to give you my money direct anymore if you're going to give it to them first.
Right.
Because that was a big like point for Hasbro Pulse for a long time for people too, is that you'd order direct from Hasbro and it would still show up everywhere else first and you'd get it last. And then you'd just be like, well, I'll cancel it because I found it at Walmart. So like that's something that I absolutely can't get behind.
Just as devil's advocate.
Please.
A lot of companies have that issue too, though, because you order something directly from NECA, it might show up in Target before your order comes through. So,
I feel like that's only happened a handful of times though for NECA. This has been a consistent thing since the Big Bad Toy Store deal came about.
I don't know.
Again, NECA, like most of the NECA stuff, that goes up is stuff that's already been sold out everywhere else.
But you're talking about, aren't you? I mean, are you talking about something specific?
He's talking about his own experience of one of the 2 packs that he ordered. No, he's talking about he's talking about NECA and like when they did those pre-orders for the Toon line last year or the year before over summer, and then they started showing up like a month later after they took everyone's money.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I'm also just another example was the Super Shredder, I believe is what it was. Because I was gonna order it, and Wes ordered his. Because I didn't order it because it was like $15 or $17, something stupid for shipping.
Yeah,
and I ended up finding it at Walmart before
they ever shipped.
His. Yeah. So yeah, it's just been. There's examples. It's like
I'm just saying that like NECA was like a few and far between.
In that case, though, is not right.
Yeah, it's still shitty. But I'm just saying that it's not like a consistent like thing of NECA. Most of the NECA stuff that you get to pre-order is stuff that they're just being nice because we're bitching that we couldn't find it the first time and it's already sold out.
Yep. Like, and they haven't really done any of those in a while.
They quit doing it. Like, it seems like Randy left Twitter and it stopped happening.
Maybe because people were still getting it before. No, I'm just joking.
Well, no, because now it's moved on. People just go and buy it from AliExpress instead of waiting for it to show up at Target.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too.
So yeah, I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of unsavory things going on all around, whether they're intentional or they are intentional. I hope they're not, because if they are, that's real unfortunate, because I know a lot of people are big fans of, was it Brian Flynn is the main guy?
Yeah, and he's a great guy. He seems like, he, like I said, I'm a big fan of their brand. I'm a big fan of what they're about. I just wish it was done a little bit differently. Because I will say this, and then before we start to wrap up, as the Ultimates have declined, the reactions have gone up in quality. So Michael was with me when I saw the Beast Wars for the first time, and they're really good.
Yeah, we both were like, we don't need this, right?
Right, yeah, and I'm just like, not only does the card art look fantastic, because that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's the big draw of reaction. But then, the figures themselves looked awesome. The Electric Mayhem stuff for the Muppets, man, I tell you what, every time I see those, I have to fight with myself not to get them, because I don't need them. I have Electric Mayhem representation, but still, the cards are so flashy, they look so cool, but the price keeps going up on them as well. Like I saw today, as of now at Target, they are $20 for reaction, which is insane.
Yeah.
Because those you're not opening. If you are, I don't know what to tell you.
The only thing I think of is maybe it's a situation that you're buying it for like a kid,
But you shouldn't be. It says right on it, not a toy. It's a collectible.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, those are still cheaper than some other lines that you may
Buy
want.
that giant shampoo bottle 12-inch figure of Captain America.
The Titan series that you guys love so much. So you brought up an interesting thing there with the price point. That's another thing that is kind of upsetting because we may or may not know what a certain company pays to have these on their shelf, and it is pretty big markup. Like it's
way
about
more than others.
More than the normal, because it's about what, $20 markup. Which let's do some quick calculator math because I didn't come prepared with this on the topic list. So if they're $55, let's go. No, shit, you're talking about 40% markup, roughly. Potentially more because of other things we know about this same company. So you're looking at almost a 50%, we'll say 45% markup, which the average for most places is around 35. So that tells me that Super7 raised these prices just like everyone else out of, trying to milk it for all it's worth versus it being an actual like costs have gone up kind of situation, which is even more unsavory to me because I'm not saying you need to be like, oh, well, we're gonna take the hit so that way the customers don't have to, like, you don't have to go the Valorverse side of it, but you could still have they jumped $10 instead of being like, okay, we're going from 45 to 50. That would have been a reasonable jump. I still think that the quality has gone down so much that they're not even worth the 45 anymore, let alone 50. But at least that would have been a bigger.
I mean, what is Godzilla's like 85.
Yeah, and that thing that looks like one of the Playmates toys that from the pictures I've seen.
Hey, easy. Let's shush it. I got him on the way. We'll see. Let's not.
I was like, could you please put some respect on Playmate? Jeez.
He's just hoping that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I told Michael today I need to see them with my own eyes because this is a line that I was really excited for.
Me too.
And if they fuck this one up. And one of us should take the dive, not both of us, but one of us should in our own. And I'll give them to you to review.
Oh, you're talking about take the dive on paying the $85. Okay, yeah. I was like, on what? Because I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna if they put it up, I will try for the Comic-Con exclusive one.
Right.
Just because it looks like it's gonna force them to paint it, and it looks cool, but
it does.
I'm hoping they look better in person. I really am.
Oh, definitely.
Because I showed you those pictures I saw, and it's not promising.
Yeah. Nope. I agree. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I kind of shipped my. I was excited they were in my pile of loot yesterday, and I shipped them without even thinking. I was just so excited. I was like, yes. And then I was like, oh, I was gonna watch some reviews, and then I was like, well, I guess
I don't blame you because I was scrolling and caught a glimpse of it, and I was like, oh, those are coming out, and I got super excited. I was like, I was almost went to make sure that I still had them pre-ordered, and then I scrolled back up. I'm like, oh no, and that's when I text you, and you're like, I've got them on the way. I'm like, thank God, so I can see how his turned out first, and maybe just wait till they're $20.
Yeah.
Because the sculpt looks good, it's just everything else about it didn't look good in the picture.
I would question right now if there is any like really difficult or hard to find ones right now.
Oh yeah, it's not like when Raph came out, when that first series of Ninja Turtles came out, it like everyone was like, holy shit, these are way better than we expected. And there was a panic across the board. That's why they re-released them so many times. Like it was hard to get. We like me and Jarmar talked about, we paid like maybe what $15 more to get them, and even then like they were going for $80 on eBay right away.
Yeah.
So and now you've got the glow in the dark versions that they just recently released, which they were charging essentially $50 each for them, but you had to buy all four of them. If you bought them from Big Bad, you can buy them individually for $70, and you can get them for less than on eBay, like brand new.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like everywhere you look, it's not going great as far as the hype for these figures anymore.
I just did a quick look.
I mean, not for the. I'm talking about the lines in general.
Oh, okay. I just want to like clarify because like some of this stuff it seems hyperbole, but like who really is like, oh my god, I have to have these.
No, but like if the lines would have been strong and coming out consistently, you can't tell me that people wouldn't have wanted to complete and have every Ninja Turtle figure that came out. I mean, even Wes talked about how he wanted the glow in the dark turtles, but he wasn't going to pay $200 for figures that were $45 each 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, I guess I'm not in that camp, but I sure. That's fine. But yeah, I just want to be at least a little level-headed.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it was like insane amount of hype. I'm just saying that this company came out the gates strong. To the point where people were invested in this line, and they shit the bed hard, and now they're fucking struggling. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that.
It's like a night and day difference from where they started to where they're at now.
Yeah.
And for the record, I know we've shit on them a lot this episode. I actively wished that these figures were good and coming out consistently, because I was excited about the Godzilla line, because right now the only options are Playmates or the SH Figure Arts Monster Arts line. And the Monster Arts ones are beautiful, but they're tiny, which bothers me.
They're also
they're also expensive.
Tiny and they're extremely expensive.
And then there is a Mezco one, but Mezco at this point I expect Super7 to ship stuff faster than Mezco. And Mezco also wanted even more than that for it, because they added a bunch of bells and whistles with lights and sounds. I'm like, I'm not a fucking 6-year-old. I don't need my shit to light up and make sounds. Just give me the fucking figure.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. Maybe lights, but not sounds. But so I really, really wanted these figures to be good. I planned to invest. I was willing to pay the $80 price tag for them. I didn't care. Hell, I'm still probably going to get the Papa Emeritus 3, just because that's my favorite version, even though I'm very new to being a fan of the band. I was a huge fan of the Ninja Turtle line until the villains just didn't live up to what I wanted, because I wasn't in it for the Playmates aspect of it. And I don't know. Even the Power Ranger stuff, I was interested in the Zords, because I was like, that'd be cool to get really highly detailed just action figures of them. Like, I don't need them to transform. I just want to have them. But then I saw the quality of the line in general, and I was like, maybe not. So I've been trying to root for them. They've just made it very difficult, and it's really unfortunate. Real quick, Nate. Well, I guess not real quick, because I know it's pretty long. Do you want to dramatically read the Patreon?
Of course I
input?
do. I do. All right. Let me just look to see where the.
I did put them in order, so the first screenshot starts it, and the second screenshot ends it.
Okay. Whew, this is a long one. All right. Are we ready? This is from our patron, Super7. Super7 is in a death spiral. Most of their newly released made-to-order figures are going on clearance for 50% off within just a few months. This causes fans to stop pre-ordering, expecting the price to be lower after release. Without constant new cash flow, they will go bankrupt. We've seen them change their business practices drastically in the last year. They never used to cancel a figure after it was on pre-order. There was never a minimum order count to fund. That's actually false, but it's okay. Now there are secret minimum orders that we find out after we pre-order if they'll retroactively cancel it or not. Again, that's actually not true. They just haven't had to do it yet. Their special release figures used to be made to order, and that was it. TMNT Glow in the Dark Ultimates was marketed as pre-order direct from Super7 only, or pay triple on eBay later. But they didn't meet the minimum threshold of orders to book the factory, So they made extra out of pocket. But it was so many extra that they got clearanced out on Amazon. All of this is due to terrible management decisions. They licensed 7-inch versions of G.I. Joe and Power Rangers from Hasbro last year. I think it was like 2-3 years ago. But anyway, and when the more popular 6-inch versions direct from Hasbro are awesome for less than half the price with more character exposure. They refuse to release mainline characters in new lines, favoring deep cuts, like esoteric Simpsons and Disney characters, while ignoring the popular main versions. When they don't sell, they blame the fans for being too stupid to understand how toy collecting works. They ruin the Turtles line by delaying important characters to later waves, which they can no longer make due to Playmate's hemorrhoid flare-up about vintage-style figures. Again, I don't know that that's the actual case, but anyway. They complained about how much oceanic shipping costs rise in 2021, causing them to raise Ultimates from 45 to 55. Shipping costs have gone back to good levels, but Ultimates are still the same price. I'm not supposed to say that, am I?
Oh, the C word.
Yeah.
I'll remember to edit it.
You'll beat me?
Yeah.
Okay. Super7 will be bankrupt within a few years. Don't pre-order direct. Do it through BBTS or EE so you don't prepay and lose money. When they go bankrupt, they will not refund customers' pre-orders. So a lot of that is speculation and whatnot. But, I mean, he does bring up a lot of good points. And so there's a lot of things in there that he's not wrong about.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot in there that to unpack, and there's a lot that I think is a little bit over the top, but it makes sense because dramatic reading.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that might just be my interpretation of it. I don't know.
So yeah, let us know in the comments below. What are your feelings on it? Were you an early adopter of Super 7? Where are you at now with it? Are you someone who just has never invested in it, has just been watching the circus from the outside? Comments down below. Let us know your thoughts and feelings, because I am very curious to find out what other people are feeling, because I only hear the vacuum of what's on the internet, and right now it is very negative and not in their favor. As always, if you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out here on the channel and gets you a bunch of toy-related content in your feed. We've got reviews, how to pose videos, the live stream, which we are late for, and the podcast every week on Fridays. And of course, if you are already a fan of the channel, you can go over to patreon.com/Modern Toy Fair. We've got a bunch of different tiers of different rewards, including getting episodes early, getting exclusive episodes once a month, and even getting physical versions of the physical prints of the photos I take for my reviews. You can check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Modern Toy Fair. You can check Jarmar out over at metal.tv/Jarmar Games. And Nate, what you got for us? All right. Well, on that note, hopefully we'll see you next week. Same toy time, same Toy Fair channel. Thank you for watching.